Welcome, Victor. Thanks for joining our interview today. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Hector. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. So, my name is Hector Garza. I'm the co-founder of ADU Journey, which currently is an online ADU professional network and directory. Victor, before we get into your ADU journey, can you tell us a little bit about your background? We just want to get a sense of what do you do for your work and a little bit of your history.
So I can start with I live in Manteca in California.
Hmm.
I'm a superintendent for a construction firm in Sacramento.
Okay.
So I've been doing construction for the last 15 years, specifically just concrete. So I've been in the concrete industry for a while now, and I've started. I I came from Madera. I don't know if you know where Madera, California is. A small little
Mhm.
town right
Yeah.
next to Fresno. Um, Ended up getting my first superintendent job in San Francisco with Nibby Brothers, a big contractor. They do like
Big
affordable
GC.
housing. Yeah, big GC. I was
Okay.
working for their South Perform division, doing all the concrete work, all the high rise buildings for all the affordable housing in San Francisco. Uh,
Wow. Okay.
yeah, I
Tough
worked
city
there.
to build high rises on that.
Yeah. So remember a while back in, I think it was in 2015, 2016, there was a
Hmm.
huge fire right next to the ballpark in San Francisco. It
Hmm.
just lit up. It was on the news. Anyways, our project was like right across the street from that job. And we were out there on the seventh floor because that's as far as we got up to the deck. And we were worried that the fire next door was gonna, the ashes, the hot ashes was gonna catch all the wood on fire. So
Oh,
that
wow.
was, yeah, it was a big thing back in that time. It was on the news, and I was able to experience fire. You know what I mean? So it was
Yeah, for
pretty
sure.
wild. But anyways,
So you
I
do
work.
construction,
Yeah, I do construction.
hardcore construction.
More on the concrete side.
Hmm.
I have a little bit of experience with drywall and painting and some metal framing, but most of my experience is in the specialty of concrete, structural concrete.
Okay. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
And then, so you've been doing this for all these years. What led you to get into your own ADU journey?
Oh, so the way it started was it was in a couple years back in 2000. I think it was 2017. Yeah, 2017, 2018. My friend, he called me up and he asked me, "Hey, I bought this piece of land out here. I got one piece of property. I'm renovating it right now, and I plan to build a house next, single family house next to this one,
Okay.
so that he can, live in it. And in the future, he was going to rent it out." So I was like, right on. So he asked me if I wanted to do the concrete work, all the foundation and do that. So I went out there. You know, he got the plans, he got everything approved, he got the funding, and we built him his basically his house. So I went out there and we did the foundation, we finished it. Then my other friend came in and did all the framing. Then my other friend came did the electrical. So all of our friends, because most of our friends are in a trade, so
Right.
we have friends that do every single trade that you need, to
Yeah, a
do
bunch of
build a
side
house.
jobs everywhere.
Yeah, so you know how that works, but which helped him out because everything was at a low cost, meaning you had that friendship and that you're
Hmm.
not charging that interest because it was a builder owner. He built everything and he didn't have to hire a contractor. So as soon as we built it, he lived in it for maybe like 6 months. He rented it out. He
Okay.
moved back into his original house and then he built the next one. So we ended up building the bigger house. And when we built that house, we were we did the same process again. We built the foundation, and
Mm-hmm.
again, our friends came in, did the framing, electrical, and got it done. And then he ended up renting both of the previous properties, the original one, the one we first built the new single family house,
Uh-huh.
and now he lives in the big mansion, which was a 3,000 square foot house, and it was custom made,
Oh,
custom built.
wow.
So there was some experience there with that. I saw the cash flow that he was making.
Mm-hmm.
He introduced me to some of the guys that he used to help him, you know, fund some of the money to build those houses. And you know, from there I was like, you know what, this is this is it. This is a good way to make some passive income because like we have the same friends. I know how to do the concrete. I can save a huge amount of money. I need to do this. And that's kind of the direction I headed. I headed towards building an ADU.
Amazing. So first, basically, what I'm hearing is that you had the taste of it through a friend by
Yep.
actually building it yourself
Yep.
in concrete, which is
Yep.
a very large portion of the budget, I guess.
Yep. It is. He saved a lot, but like most of the money was in the concrete because concrete itself is expensive, but he was able to know where all his money was going. So that's
Hmm.
how he saved. So he saved on material, he saved on labor.
Hmm.
So he saved a huge amount and he knew exactly where all his money was going versus when you know, you hire a contractor and you don't know where all the money is going. You just get a hey, one
Yeah,
time.
it's a mystery.
Yeah, semester. Yeah, you know, there's some profit there, but we were we were able to make it, and he was able to save, and he was able to be successful on building those houses and getting them rented out.
That's great. And Victor, do you have any idea of what was your client in this case, the budget for the ADU for those
Uh,
two?
for those two single family houses that he built,
Yeah,
um, no, um,
it's okay.
not, yeah, I don't know how much he spent. Um, but if I were to ask him, I know he would know because he remembers how how much money he spends on everything because he's really he's really on it on his budget and stuff. So
Yeah, Virgo. Okay. All right. And Victor, the picture that you're showing right now that I can see in your screen, is that the ADU that you built?
yeah, so that was my ADU. That was my first actual one. So what I did is there's a main house in front of that ADU, and that was the main house that I purchased. And while I was living in that main property, that's when I was actually building for a friend of mine these properties, these single family houses. So this was my testing zone. I I was able to you know, say, hey, okay, this is what I want to do. This is I think this is a good spot right here because of the interest rates and the prices of the cost of living was high and prices of
Mhm.
homes right now are high. So I was like, you know what? This is the best way. I can save a huge amount, just like my friend. You know, I can do majority of the work, get most of the material from work. So I was able to, you know, build this ADU with all my friends, the same friends he has, and myself too, and get it done. So that was my first step. I took the approach and started, you know, going after it.
That's an amazing use of all your skills, Victor.
Yeah.
That's just impressive.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
so, can you talk about, you already mentioned how all your friends basically help you out in building this. I'm guessing you had friends with plaster, you and some others placed the windows, your
Hmm.
friends did electrical. What about waterproofing? Or is there anything that you actually uh paid a stranger to do?
So, In this case, the only stranger that I paid was you see, there's a mini split system there. That was the
Mm,
only person that I didn't know that was recommended by one of my friends to do. Other than that,
okay.
the whole entire um, ADU was built from guys I know that are in,
From people you
within
trust.
my circle.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
perfect. That's the way to
Yep.
do it.
Yep.
Okay. And then can you talk about a little bit of any of the or the most or biggest challenge that you had during this process, whether it was, during the construction or with the city or, any section of your journey?
Yeah. The main the first thing that came across that was like a huge barrier was PG&E. So I learned I've learned yes, as soon as the drawings are approved,
Hmm.
you have to get with PG&E and coordinate the because I wanted a separate meter. So a separate meter, separate address. So that was one thing that became an issue because I was already done with the ADU and I was waiting on PG&E because PG&E, their lag time was a couple months out. So that ADU only took me about 2.5 months, three at the most to build, and I was waiting on PG&E.
Wait, you built this in 3 months? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it took me about 2.5 months, three
Wow.
months after I got the drawings approved.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it went really quick, but the PG&E was one that held me back because I had to wait, and then there was additional funds that I wasn't aware of that I had to pay them.
Okay.
It was just a learning experience. PG&E can it can be a roadblock for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've heard horror stories of up
Yeah.
to a year. So,
Yeah. PG&E is no joke. You just gotta follow the rules and just get ahead of it. And that's kind of like the first thing I will do on the next one for sure. Because I have to get a hold of PG&E as soon as possible, as soon as those drawings are approved.
yeah, for sure. And most of the GCs, first thing they tell you is put the ball in court on you for reaching out to PG&E.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, that's what everybody does. Just like, hey, PG&E, just start
Yeah.
knocking on their door.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I experienced that and I learned, and I'm gonna on the next one it won't be an issue.
All right. And then besides PG&E, for example, we design or, for example, setbacks or anything related to the city, because this project is located in
In Manteca.
Manteca. Okay.
Yeah, it's right in front of the school, and I had like no issues with the city. The cities came in, the
Mm-hmm.
paperwork. Well, I'll tell you this: the architect slash drafter that I hired to design it, he
Okay.
dealt with the city, so I paid him to take care the paperwork and all that. And but with the city, it was smooth. I didn't think it was that easy. I didn't think it was going to be like hard, super easy. It was really easy. Sorry, it was super easy because they approved. They came in and they inspected every single line item, and they
Mm-hmm.
approved and passed every inspection, no problem. So yeah,
Okay.
City of Manteca, no issues.
Perfect. That's I mean, I've never talked to somebody that did a project in Manteca specifically.
Mhm.
But everything I hear is problems with cities everywhere in California. So I'm glad to hear that in Manteca things are going pretty well, and that you actually hired somebody that managed this so well,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
drafting.
no,
Okay.
I was able to take control of managing all the coordinating everything from the materials to the sequence of okay, this comes first, here comes the next trade, and try to have them overlap. So it's because it was so the building footprint wasn't so big, but I was able to organize it so every because
Mhm.
this is a lot of your personal my personal money that was going into this. So I had to make
Yeah.
sure that everything was organized and there was no time wasted. And that's what made it more easier because the guys too that helped me do build this actually done it before for my friend, like I said, on his single family houses where it went through the inspection process and all that. So they already had, I actually got a compliment from the inspector saying, hey, the guys I hired did a really good job, on their work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, they were,
Cool.
yeah, the city of Manteca is no complaints, no issues. It was a smooth process.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I was expecting like being called out. I was like, oh man, I was like, the day inspection's coming. Oh, yeah, they're gonna, they're gonna hold me back. They're gonna want this. I'm gonna have to spend more money. Blah blah blah. No, everything worked out good. The only thing that was a challenge was just PG&E.
I see. And is this unit, I saw that you posted on the Facebook group that this has been rented out. Um, is that the case? And
Yeah,
and if so, how much is the rent that you're charging versus, the recovery of what you spent roughly?
yeah. So what happened was, I ended up moving out of the main house and
Hmm.
moving two houses down. and
Okay.
and I ended up renting the main house and the ADU. Um, the main house I'm renting it out for 2,800. The ADU I'm renting it out for 1,600. Um, so half of the funds that came from the ADU were from a loan, right?
Hmm.
So that loan is going to be paid off in 4 years, which is a lot better than a 30-year fix. So
Right.
so after 4 years, I'm going to be collecting 1,600 or more by then in 4 years every single month on that. Just pure cash flow. So
Congratulations,
I'm
Victor.
excited. I mean, yeah, you know what I mean? I just can't
I'm
wait.
excited for you, man.
Right now there is some cash flow because the loan, a lot of the money I had to put up, basically half of the money I had to put up myself.
Hmm.
But after 4 years, the loan gets paid off, and it's just basically just cash flow. Right now, I am making some cash flow of what almost $300 on just the ADU.
Hmm.
The front house, it's a total between the front house, the main house, and the ADU, a total of $500 a month right now.
Okay.
So
It's amazing.
yeah, I was successful, and for my first one, it was good. And right now, we're looking into getting another property and repeat the same process.
Yeah, and now you have this little team of friends that know exactly what they're doing.
Yep, yep. And that's what's going to make it so much easier. It's just it always comes down to the funds, having the funds. If you're a resourceful guy and know where
Hmm.
to get the funds, then you have no issue. I mean, everything's as long as you know what it's going to take to build it, which I do. Um, it's just getting capital. That's it. Once you get the money, you can build this. You can build a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So
No, that you're well on your way to a bright future, Victor.
thanks.
That's pretty cool.
That's what I'm trying to do.
And during this construction process, can you tell us a little more about, for example, the utilities? Was that something that your friends helped you out with as well? Was that an expensive process? How did that portion of the work go?
Yeah. So the ADU, it's all electric. So there's no gas in there. So
Hmm.
it has its own meter.
Okay.
The utilities for that, it does share the water from the main house to the back house. So that's one utility that's sharing, but the electrical is it's separate. So it's going to have its own address, its own meter panel going to the ADU.
right?
And most of the work, my friend, he's an electrician, he helped me. We both kind of worked together to put all the electrical work in there and to do all the trenching, put the line in and get it all set up. But yeah, I mean, down the road, they'll be able to, connect their own Wi-Fi or internet there, and it's going to be a total its own entity.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Um, so all right, so now that this ADU project is complete, Victor, how would you say that this has impacted your life or the lives of the occupants that are there right now?
So it's impacted me a lot. And when I say a lot, it's impacted me in a good way financially.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the responsibility of being, a landlord, being able to, maintain the property. Um, and that's something that in the future I'm going to rely on, hopefully some property managers to maintain the
Right.
property, because that's a lot of work to do. That's a new house. Luckily, it's a new house, so there's no issues, no troubles or anything like that. But the main house, a little bit older, built in 1976.
Wow.
It's just constant that you have to be aware. Like you gotta be able to go there and do all the maintenance, even if it's at 8 o'clock at night. And um, it's impacted me in a good way and in a bad way, I should say. But in long term, it's gonna be a gold nugget. So
And then was it hard for you to find renters?
no, the renters, believe it or not, Hector,
Mm-hmm.
the renters, the day basically before I was even like finishing up, I had a line of renters. Like renters was
Okay.
no issue. There was no issue. I had like so many people, and I kind of weeded them out. It's like, okay, 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 who's this? And then okay. And I just kind of went through, and I found a family that, was that had the mom, the grandma. So the grandma lives in there with the grandpa, and the younger, the mom and dad live in the main house with the kids. So I was able to, and the good thing, which I felt good too, is that the house that they were living at before they came in here,
Mm-hmm.
um, they were selling, not they were renting a house that was going to be sold. And
Okay.
I was able to help them out and get in, and I haven't had no issues with them. So I'm knocking on wood because it's been good so far.
Oh
'Cause
man,
I hear the stories. That's why.
it sounds like a lot of good things have happened to you lately.
Yeah. No, I thank God, but it's everything's working out so far. But it's not easy for sure.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Nope.
But I mean, having a good construction team, for sure, that's like a huge thing.
Oh
And
yeah.
then now that you rented out the unit,
Yep.
it's
Yeah. It's good. And I wanted to do it again. And I got my kids too. They're all on board too. So we're looking for our next investment. Um, and then we're just gonna build in the back another ADU.
and your approach now is like keep developing and not building for clients, right? That's where you're going.
Yeah. So um I'm gonna keep building for myself. And if people want, the help, and they want somebody with that's been through this process and need help, I'm
Hmm.
willing to help them too. I'm willing to help them do because I'm a contractor as well too for concrete. So I have my concrete license. So, I can do all the concrete. I can set up the manpower to help with all those different trades to get in there but at this point I would be on the side of a contractor. So I would look for profitability too.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, for sure. So you're open both ways, but
yep.
mainly go in the development side, which is
Yeah. Yeah. I
incredible.
am open. I prefer to do my own stuff just to keep me going. But yeah.
All right. Last question,
Okay.
Victor. So, looking back on your journey from concept to completion, what advice would you give to someone considering building an ADU on their property? And putting this in perspective, because you're a builder, right? You have a lot of experience. There's a lot of people out there that don't have that essence or back history like you.
Yeah.
So, any words of advice that you would tell the people for them to become successful on their ADU journeys?
Yeah. For the best advice I can give anybody would be to make sure to secure the funding. The funding is the biggest thing. Um, I was able to get half of the funding, the other half it was partial my savings, and the other partial was me doing it basically check to check.
Mhm.
So having the funding is a big part to finish, from to start and finish your ADU. Other than that, I would say PG&E. PG&E is the other challenge I had. Other than that, those are only two things that I ran across that I would advise people to make sure they have locked down.
Did you know how much was the ADU was gonna cost back then when you started?
Yeah, I had an idea. I came up with a number of $70,000. Um, I was able to get $50,000 in a loan.
Hmm.
Um, it ended up costing me pretty close to $95,000.
Okay.
So, I was able to finish it, but I had to use all of my funding. My next thing would be to make sure I can get some secured funding first, 100%, and maybe start looking to some resources for some investors to um, help me with future projects.
All right. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Victor. I appreciate your time. This is an amazing story.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks, Hector.
thanks
I
for
appreciate you
joining.
having me. This was fun. It was cool.
Yeah,
Appreciate
for
it.
sure, man. All right.
All right. Oh, I
Thank
have
you.
I have another one, Hector. Is that
Sure.
your website, the ADU Journey?
That's right.
Okay, so you have there. I started looking at it, but you have some resources there too for contracting, huh?
That's right. It's a basically a professional network. So
Okay.
there's designers and contractors. There's a couple of companies that do Title 24 consultancy.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's the network that I have, and it's been growing.
Okay. Right on. Right on. Well, thank you for having me, Hector.
Thank you, Victor.
All right, man. Have a
All
good
right.
one.
You
All right.
too.
See ya. Bye
See
bye.
ya.